The UFC and Dana White are scrambling around behind the scenes looking for a suitable main event for International Fight Week. Supposedly, Dricus Du Plessis versus Khamzat Chimaev is off the table. We're going to take a look at something Caio Borralho recently said in an interview. Now there's some speculation about Khamzat versus Caio, potentially for an interim title. We also have a report coming out recently. There's a lot of talk of UFC 317 right now, of Islam Makhachev versus Ilia Topuria. And there are actually people implying, but also this report heavily implies, that if Islam does not fight Ilia Topuria at UFC 317, then he will be stripped of the lightweight title, which is a complete and utter disgrace. And what's even crazier is people are acting like these are legitimate reports when they have zero credibility or very little credibility. And I'm going to expose why in this video. And I'm also going to show you Ilia Topuria lying through his teeth. So let's jump right into it. So first thing we have, Ilia Topuria. The camp has begun. 3 million views. Everyone running with this. Oh my God, Topuria Islam. Topuria Islam's definitely happening because of one fucking tweet, 4 words. Ilia has every incentive. This is going to be a common theme of this video. Ilia has every incentive to lie. He's trying to put pressure on the UFC and Islam. He's trying to get the fans on his side. He's trying to generate excitement because he wants the Islam fight. The Islam fight is beneficial to him. So him saying the camp has begun could just be a way to apply some pressure, and people are literally running with this like it's 100% fact he's now fighting Islam at UFC 317. Next thing I want to go through, because we have a lot to check out in this video. Make sure to subscribe to this channel, turn on notifications. I would greatly appreciate it. We have Ariel Helwani and his little boys, his backdoor boys here, implying that Islam should be stripped of his lightweight title if he does not fight Ilia Topuria. Talking about, yeah, if Islam doesn't want it, we got to make Topuria Charles. And I'm going to explain to you why they're doing this. Listen to this. Ariel and his backdoor boys.
How do we get to Ilia versus Charles? Basically, we get to Ilia versus Charles if A, JDM wins.
Okay.
Right? Then I think Islam is gone. Islam has talked about how, the weight cuts have been a little extreme. I personally think there's one fight left for him at 155, and it is Ilia. But you could also offer the excuse of, or the retort, the rebuttal that
the excuse. You see how he said excuse? By the way, I can't believe just because Dana said so, none of us are rallying behind Arman Tsarukyan. It should be Arman Tsarukyan next for the lightweight title. That's a fact.
Hey, you can keep saying that. There'll be another guy. He really has done it all at 155, especially as of late in terms of defending the title and taking on all comers, including the featherweight champion twice. So, as we said, they're either going to wait till May 10th or they'll say, we need a main event. By the way, the same way they needed a main event for Miami, they needed a title fight for Miami, they got the belt off of Ilia, they could do the same with Islam.
I'm convinced this dude just hates any fighter that's under Ali Abdelaziz's management and or is Muslim. I used to not believe that. To imply they should take the belt off of Islam, who's now defended his title 4 times, who's been the champion for 3 years now, a dominant champion and pound for pound #1, also one of the bigger draws in the UFC right now. We should just snatch his belt off of him because he doesn't want to fight Topuria, which he hasn't said anywhere, by the way. Find me a clip. For all the people saying Islam's stuck in Topuria, find me one clip. Just one. Comment it down below. I open challenge here. Find me one clip where Islam says he's not fighting Topuria. You won't find it because it does not exist. You can point to Khabib giving his opinion. You can point to Javier Mendez giving his opinion that Topuria doesn't deserve it because, he doesn't. Okay, I have no problem with the fight because if you're not giving it to Arman, which he should get it, then okay, there's no one truly deserving of it, so I wouldn't have a massive problem with it. But to act like, this is just insane. We'll just take the belt off Islam. It's no different than Topuria. Topuria defended his belt 1 time. Has 2 good wins in his entire fucking career. This is craziness.
So does that mean it would be for a vacated title?
Yeah.
I'm into that.
I don't believe for a second. Here's what I feel is, and maybe I'll regret this one.
He feels this. Again, he's not reporting this. This is what he feels. Okay? It's what he feels.
The next time we see Ilia Topuria fight, it is for an undisputed title.
Okay.
The question is it going to be against Islam for the actual undisputed or the vacant undisputed?
Yeah, the Miami situation.
It's really
That's crazy. That's absolutely insane. To suggest Islam should have to give up his belt because he can't potentially fight. What if he has some nagging injuries? He fought at the end of January. What if he has some nagging injuries? He needs a little bit more than 5 months. Then we strip him? We make him vacate? Makes absolutely no sense. And here is Ariel implying it even more with his little backdoor boys. I mean, come on now, Ariel. Come on now.
All those months ago. So I guess it is a different situation. It's a different.
Why can't they call up Islam and say, look, we've got International Fight Week. The same way this came up in the talks leading up to Miami. We've got International Fight Week. You want to headline it against Ilia? Here you go. Here's the big marquee, right? You don't? We need to take that belt away, just like we took Ilia's belt away. And
Do you think he'd be saying this if it was Conor McGregor? Forget about Ariel's bias for a second, okay? Ali, managed fighter, Muslim fighter. A lot of the media is pushing for this Ilia Topuria fight because they look at Ilia Topuria as their next Conor McGregor. I've been telling you guys this for a while. The media is extremely biased towards fighters that they deem could be potential superstars in the UFC. They act as glorified publicists for the UFC because those fighters indirectly or really directly put money in their pockets. The bigger the stars we have in the UFC, the more job stability and the more potential income people like Ariel have. That is a fact. So they basically run as like a promotional arm of the UFC, trying to push these guys because they want Ilia Topuria to get the biggest possible fight. I understand it. Fans want it as well. But what I'm saying is they push these certain narratives as if they're undeniable because Ariel knows that's what's best for his job. That's what's best for my job in a way. Not even in a way, it is. But I don't, that's not the point here, okay? They push for these fights. They're acting like Topuria unequivocally has earned this shot because they know it's best for business. And what's best for the UFC business is best for them. And it's not what's best for the legitimacy of the sport. So he's acting like it would be normal to take the belt off Islam. There's a little bit more to this.
We need to make Ilia versus Charles for the vacant title. Why can't that happen?
It seems like it can.
Ilia gave his belt up.
No, but
they took that belt. Come on. They took that belt.
I guess the argument is,
why can't this happen? Charles is on a 1-fight win streak. I love Charles Oliveira. 1-fight win streak against Michael Chandler. Bummy ass Mr. Jefferson County Javelins now. Where they at? Mr. Jefferson County Javelin, see you at the top. Left my family in early January for a mythical fight at a mythical weight class against a rapist. I mean, come on now. 1-fight win streak against Michael Chandler. They're campaigning like Oliveira. Man, Oliveira deserves it. Again, just because it's a big fight. And don't get me wrong, I love Ilia Topuria, Charles Oliveira. Make them fight for #1 contender spot. Okay? But to act like Topuria undeniably has earned this is ridiculous. Is absolutely ridiculous. To even utter the words like Islam should vacate or Islam should be stripped if he doesn't fight Ilia Topuria is completely and utterly insane. Now, we do have some other options for UFC 317 main event. The original supposed plan was Dricus Du Plessis versus Khamzat Chimaev. It's being reported that Dricus Du Plessis suffered an injury. We do not know how severe that injury is. I see a lot of people pushing this. Caio Borralho said this. Caio Borralho said that. He said Dricus suffered a leg injury and he's going to be out for 6 to 8 months. I see this reporting over and over and over again. I mean, seriously, the media literacy and the lack of critical thinking in the MMA community is insane. Let's listen to what Caio Borralho had to say, actually. And let's see how credible this is.
First of all, where did you learn about DDP being injured? Was it just off the internet like the rest of us, or were you hearing something in the back end? How did you learn about DDP potentially?
Yeah. By the way, I'll link this full interview from Submissive Radio down in the description. Go check it out.
Actually, I think two people a little bit, I don't know if close to him or to his team or in his town, I don't know. Two people messaged me, said, oh, did you see the DDP got injured? He broke his leg in half and all that.
What? And I was like, his leg?
Yeah, people are saying that. I think it's some shin problem. He was kicking somewhere and broke his shin. I don't know. Actually, I'm not sure about it. I just heard about it. People said there's actually articles about it.
So there you go. Does that seem very credible to you? Caio has no idea what he's talking about. Oh, well, I heard about it. I don't know if it's true. Supposedly there were some articles about it, and people are running with it. Like, Dricus Du Plessis definitely injured for 6 to 8 months. Strip him of the title. We haven't even got 100% confirmation that Dricus Du Plessis is severely injured. He could just have a minor injury. Okay? I'm praying to the MMA gods, and I told you guys this on every stream. Dricus Du Plessis, Khamzat Chimaev, middleweight title fight, UFC 317, International Fight Week. Please, please. Co-main event. Ilia Topuria, Charles Oliveira for #1 contender. That's what I would like. But again, let's pump the brakes on Dricus Du Plessis as a broken leg and is unable to fight. Next thing I want to jump to. We have this report, okay? This is Championship Rounds regurgitating a report. Ilia Topuria will be fighting for either the undisputed or vacant lightweight title at UFC 317 on June 28th. Isn't this a double negative? If it's vacated, it's still undisputed. He will be fighting for the undisputed title, no matter what, is what they should say. But anyway, quote, everything points to Islam Makhachev defending his belt against Topuria. Otherwise, he'll have to vacate it so Topuria can challenge for it against Oliveira via KOL Monero MMA. And I was like, oh, well, who's this guy? Never heard of this Johnny come lately around here. Okay, never heard of him before. So I said, you know what, let me go check out his Twitter. Let me go check out his article. So I went in and found his Twitter. Okay. And you scroll down a little bit. You have the camp has begun. Ilia Topuria will be fighting at International Fight Week for the title, I am told. Then he posts this article here. I clicked on this article. Let me refresh this article so it's in English again for some reason. It's not in English. But essentially says, according to a worldwide exclusive from ABC MMA, Ilia Topuria will fight for the undisputed... Hold on a second. I had an ad popping up there. Will fight for an undisputed lightweight title at UFC 317, which will take place at T-Mobile in Las Vegas on June 28th. This was confirmed by a message from the Spanish Georgian who stated, quote, training camp has already begun. Let me read that again for you guys. For the lack of, the people with the lack of media literacy, okay? This was confirmed by a message from the Spanish Georgian who stated, quote, training camp has already begun. So he's using this tweet to confirm his report. Okay. That sounds really credible. We're definitely going to all run with it and pretend like it's 100% factually happening, right? The fight won't be for an interim belt, but for the absolute one. So I was like, well, you know what? Who is this guy? Who is this guy? So I was like, let me do a little digging, okay? Let me do a little due diligence around here in this community. And I see this in his bio here. All right? Let me take a look at this. This says commentator. In Spanish, it says commentator for Wow Movista, right? And I was like, you know what? Commentator for Wow Movista. What could that possibly be? He's got 9,000 followers. That doesn't mean he's credible or not credible. You could have 1,000 and be credible. You could have 100,000 and be not credible at all. I was like, what's this commentator gig he has? Because that seems to be like his main thing. He's a commentator. And then I did a little searching. Ilia Topuria, part owner of MMA promotion Wow FC. So what you have is you have this guy who works for Ilia Topuria now reporting that Ilia Topuria will be fighting for the vacant lightweight title, or he will be fighting Islam Makhachev for the undisputed title, as he said. But he works for Ilia Topuria. So I said, you know what? Let me look a little bit more. Let me check out his YouTube page. I look at his YouTube page. It's basically a fan page for Ilia Topuria. Ilia Topuria, Ilia Topuria, Ilia Topuria, Ilia Topuria, Ilia Topuria, Ilia Topuria, Ilia Topuria. Need I say more? Ilia Topuria in every thumbnail. I was like, let me take a look at his Instagram. Ilia Topuria. He works for Ilia Topuria. Ilia Topuria, Ilia Topuria, Ilia Topuria. I get it. This guy's a Spanish reporter. Ilia Topuria is Spanish. But this is a credible source now? This guy's a credible source? He works for Ilia Topuria. I don't get it. I don't get, how are you going to pretend like this is a credible source? He works for Ilia. Ilia has every motivation to lie. I'm assuming, and this is what I tweeted out here, just wondering if anyone's going to point out the main guy who's reporting on Islam Makhachev versus Ilia Topuria details literally works for Topuria's fight organization as a commentator. Everyone acts like this is credible info when I guarantee the info is being fed to him by Topuria. Topuria would lie to put pressure on the UFC, put pressure on Islam Makhachev so he can get what he wants. And if you don't believe me, luckily, just luckily, I happen to have a clip of Topuria lying on Joe Rogan's podcast. Let's listen to this because he slips up and he admits that the UFC forced him to vacate. And he also lies about being promised a title shot at lightweight. Let's listen.
I would like to fight with Islam, that's for sure. I would like to fight him.
But if they don't give you that fight, if they give you like a number one contender fight, when would you like to fight next?
I wouldn't fight for a number one contender fight. No.
I would not fight a number one contender. My question to the Dagestani haters, the Muslim haters, Islam's ducking Topuria allegedly because he doesn't want to fight him, even though we've never heard those words uttered out of his mouth. Topuria doesn't want to fight Volkanovski at 145 and give him the rematch that he's owed. He didn't want to fight Mavsar. And now he doesn't want to fight Charles Oliveira or anybody else for a number one contender fight, Arman Tsarukyan. So I guess that means Topuria's ducking, right? He's ducking a lot of guys, right? But let's carry on. He's sitting out waiting. He said he'll wait for the title shot.
You only want to fight for the title?
Yeah, of course.
Really? Okay.
Of course.
I understand. That makes sense to me. Look, also, it's the most marketable fight. Everybody else is lost to him, right?
I don't care if Islam decides that he doesn't want to fight me. I don't care. I sit till you're going to have to fight me.
I sit until you're going to have to fight me. I hope Islam leaves him at the altar like Conor McGregor left Michael Chandler at the altar. Just sit and wait, buddy. We're going to fight soon. Just sit and wait. Just sit and wait. Just sit and wait. I mean, that's just crazy. The entitlement. He has one title defense, guys. I want to see Islam Makhachev versus Ilia Topuria. But he should fight a number one contender fight first. And Islam should fight Arman Tsarukyan. Dana should get his panties out of a wad because Arman got injured and pulled out of a fight, and you want fighters to fight injured. Baldy. Like, the entitlement here, I understand if Islam's team doesn't want him to fight him. Dude, you've done nothing. He has one title defense. One title defense. And you got people like Ariel acting like he's the next coming of Conor McGregor superstardom. And he deserves it because he's a star. All because they want to put money in their pockets. It's a disgrace, man. I'll sit out. But let's listen. In a second, he slips up and basically says the UFC almost stripped him.
Okay.
Sorry, the UFC told him to vacate, which essentially stripped him.
Okay. You say that you are the world champion. You're going to keep dominating the division, all that. I'm here. You can't keep avoiding me all the time.
So you would just sit on the sidelines rather than fight someone else?
I don't think that they're going to do that. I don't think they would put me on a sideline because they asked me to. I vacate the belt because I told them that I wouldn't.
Did you guys catch that? I mean, is nobody pointing this shit out? Listen to this. They asked me to give up the belt. They essentially stripped him. And then he corrects himself. No, I gave up the belt. Never mind. Watch him.
Would put me on a sideline because they asked me to. I vacate the belt because I told them that I wouldn't fight in 145 again.
So clearly the UFC told him you have to give up the 45 belt because my guess is Topuria wanted to be simultaneous double champ, have that opportunity, but they said, no, we need a main event. You only defended your belt once. You haven't put in. I mean, dude's acting like he put in the type of work that Volkanovski put in. That's what he's acting like. And he's got one title defense.
But I get the promise that I would fight for the title in my next fight.
I got the promise that I would fight for the title in my next fight. Listen to Rogan's follow-up here and then listen to Topuria's answer. He's clearly lying.
So how much time you will stop me and from the fighting?
So they did give you a promise that your next, when you vacated the belt, that your next fight would be
if
for
they
the title?
give that chance to everyone, why not to me?
Of course. If they give that chance to everyone, why not me? Does that sound like he got a promise? Listen to that one more time.
Your next fight would be
if
for
they
the
give
title.
that chance to everyone, why not to me?
So there you go. If they give that chance to everyone, why not me? He lied. He was not promised a title shot. I mean, if that doesn't convince you, I can't convince you. If they do it to everyone else, why not me? They don't do it for everyone else. One title defense, you want to move up and try for double champ status. I know it's an amazing fight, guys. I love the idea of Islam Makhachev versus Ilia Topuria. But to act like this guy has deserved it, like he's put in the work, when he has 2 good wins in his entire career, I mean, think about how crazy that is. Meanwhile, Islam has defended his belt, what, 4 times? 2 times against the pound-for-pound GOAT. He took the belt from one of the top 5 pound-for-pound guys in Charles Oliveira. I mean, to act like Topuria has even done a shred of what Islam has done is just insanity. And so Ilia has every reason to lie to try to push for this fight. And why wouldn't he use this guy who works for him to put out this type of reporting that's confirmed by his tweet to push the narrative that Islam versus Topuria is happening? So then if it doesn't happen, they can run with the narrative, Islam ducked him. Islam's scared of him. And by the way, if Islam vacates his title and moves up to 170, the Dagestani haters are going to be like, man, he ran from Topuria. He's scared of Topuria. Well, then Topuria vacated his belt and ran away from Volkanovski and Mavsar, I guess, then, right? It's just the logic is so flawed. In this fight, even though I'm saying this guy is not credible, this fight may very well happen. I do believe if the UFC says, look, Islam, we need a main event for UFC 317. We want the Topuria fight. Here's the contract. I do believe Islam will sign that contract. As long as he's not injured, who knows? He could have some nagging injuries. But I do believe he would accept the fight. So right now, it's looking like there's a high probability that this fight could happen. But this is all, the reason I wanted to make this video is this is all just vague reporting. And I know I speculate a lot as well and make educated guesses. But I feel like a lot of people take certain tweets or reports and act like it's concrete information when it's not. I was one of the first people that covered Kevin Iole talking about Dricus Du Plessis being injured. It's still not 100% confirmed, and we don't know the seriousness of the injury. So I'm still praying to the MMA gods that we get Dricus Du Plessis versus Khamzat Chimaev. A backup plan could be Islam Makhachev versus Ilia Topuria. Another backup plan could be Magomed Ankalaev versus Alex Pereira. Ankalaev posted something on IG saying, Pereira, if you want the rematch, accept. When the UFC is in one of these situations where they're looking for a main event and they're scrambling for a main event, they throw out a bunch of different offers just to have as many options as possible. So there may be an offer for Topuria to fight for a vacant title, potentially. That doesn't mean it's going to happen. And I'll tell you this right now. It would be a complete and utter disgrace if Ilia Topuria is fighting for a vacant lightweight title because Islam can't go or won't go and is asking for an actual lightweight contender instead. That would be a complete and utter disgrace. And either way, if the fight does happen, there's going to be these narratives. Ready? Remember, the Dagestani haters will go from Islam Makhachev ducking Ilia Topuria to Islam was forced to fight him. Also, a reminder, Islam has never said he would not fight Topuria. He never said it. Prove it to me if you're going to say it. And then also, I showed this in my other video, Dagestani haters narrative progression. And tell me this isn't true. Islam is ducking Topuria. Islam versus Topuria gets booked. Islam got forced to fight Topuria. He's terrified of him. Islam beats Topuria easily. Islam beats nothing but 45ers. So if there is some hesitation from Islam and his camp to take on Topuria, who has one title defense at a weight class lower, it's you guys. Because he fought the pound-for-pound #1 guy who was on a crazy streak at featherweight, beating everyone in the division for literal years, and you gave him no credit for beating that guy. You acted like he was robbed. You acted like he was a cheater. You acted like it meant nothing. Then he KOs him in a short notice rematch. You gave him no credit for it. He's getting no credit for beating legit the 45 GOAT. Why would he get credit for beating some Johnny-come-lately? Topuria hasn't put in any work. The way people are acting is as if Islam has put in the level of work Topuria has, and Topuria has put in the level of work Islam has. It is a complete joke. We'll have to see. We'll have to see what ends up happening. The UFC may end up going with Magomed Ankalaev versus Alex Pereira. I am hoping and praying that Dricus Du Plessis versus Khamzat Chimaev for the middleweight title will be at UFC 317 because we haven't got official confirmation. It's not like Dricus has come out and said, yeah, I'm not off the card. We have Khamzat saying this is the biggest bullshit guy. But what you guys have to realize is when certain information is just circulated through the internet, like Dricus Du Plessis' injury, and then everyone just regurgitates it as if it's fact, then the fighters hear it and they react to it. Khamzat could have simply been reacting to what he saw online, and there could not actually be truth to it because there was no 100% confirmation from the very beginning, which I said in my video from Friday. First person to cover it around here. So I just wanted to call this out because a guy who works for Ilia Topuria is acting as if Islam Makhachev versus Ilia Topuria is 100% confirmed when it is in fact not. Okay, when it is in fact not 100% confirmed. We'll have to see what happens. I do believe we will get an answer from Dana White in the UFC in the next week or so. I would think by the end of next week, we will know for sure what is the main event of UFC 317. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and thank you so much for watching.